Nightlife operators within the historic Singapore River precinct can now enjoy longer liquor sales hours and apply to open new bars, pubs and nightclubs as a year-long revitalisation pilot is made permanent. Under the pilot, businesses could submit proposals for fresh nightlife offerings, ending a 16-year moratorium on new venues in the district. Between August 2025 and June this year, 37 applications for new nightlife users were approved out of 52 submitted, with the rest pending follow-up action. Within the Clarke Quay and Boat Quay and Upper Circular Road area, more than 90 nightlife operators also receive approvals to extend their liquor trading hours till 4 a.m. on 2 days. Road closures will also resume at Circular Road for events and pedestrian-friendly activities.
This is a good first step. And that's why we are confident enough to say we are formalizing these measures, and then we'll see how that goes. But the most important thing is to try, and the most important thing is that we are working in close step with our trade associations and our businesses. And they've shown encouraging signs, and we'll continue to work with them to ensure that the precincts remain vibrant for locals and visitors alike.
Security has also remained stable since the pilot was tested a year ago, with about 5 additional officers deployed daily. The arrangements will continue as the measures to boost the nightlife scene are formalized.
It's not the cheapest. However, we decided to move ahead with this cost in order to move the needle. And I think with this offering to step up with the security manpower, that has helped the agencies allay their concerns and move forward with this policy of reversing the 16-year moratorium.
The Nightlife Business Association says the moves gives operators the confidence to expand and explore new concepts, especially with changing trends among younger generations. It also is looking to plan more place-making events, activities and parties.
For example, you can have live music, but then you have a chess club, and then you have maybe some sports activities nearby. So we're looking at from a very broad perspective of what Singaporeans and also tourists want to enjoy when they are out at night in Singapore.
For more on this story, let's go to our correspondent Nadirah Zaidi, who's there at Clarke Quay. Nadirah, what's it like there, and what are businesses saying about the formalization of measures?
Thanks, Paul. I mean, it's 10 p.m. on a Monday night, so the crowd here at Clarke Quay is not at its peak compared to a Friday. But I'm not sure if you can hear me, but there's live music and the seats in restaurants behind me are filled. So it's definitely still very vibrant here at Clarke Quay. But to answer your question on what businesses think about the formalization of the revitalization pilot, they're definitely very happy about that. For one business, they've benefited from the change of use measure, and that basically means that instead of just being a restaurant, they're now a restaurant and a bar, and that's a big deal because instead of having to close at 12 a.m. at midnight as a restaurant, they can now open till 3 or 4 in the morning, and that has definitely affected their sales because since opening later, their sales have peaked 20 to 25% per month. But instead of just revenue, businesses, since the pilot, the implementation of the pilot, businesses are now more confident of, trying new ideas, expanding their businesses, and basically just trying new things. Let's hear from one of the businesses.
Because most of the staff that I'm hiring as well, I'm giving them, like, in terms of the opportunity to work in my place where it's considered, like, for example, if I'm going to be open till 3 a.m., we know how many number of staff that we need. If the restrictions goes back to 12 a.m., then probably we'll have to cut down on the head count and everything. So, which is not the situation that any restaurateur would want to have it.
For nightlife operators like Zoo, for example, they've benefited from the extended hours of liquor sales. So instead of having to stop selling liquor at about 3 in the morning, they're now allowed to sell at 4 in the morning on Fridays and Saturdays. And even though it's just a 1 hour difference, that makes a lot of difference to their revenue. They told me that since the extension of liquor sale hours, they've benefited from about 15 to 20% of additional revenue revenue. And this is from, different demographics, young people, old people. And it also helps to, help them to plan their programming, because now with the extended hours, they see better return on investment when it comes to hiring guest DJs.
Nadirah, we know that nightlife operators have been facing challenges from rising operating costs to shifts in consumer spending behavior. How do these moves address those concerns?
Yeah, there's definitely no running away from the shift in consumer behavior, Paul. The Singapore Nightlife Business Association, as well as Singapore River One and nightlife operators in general, acknowledge that there is some sort of changing trends. And that's why they're planning, like you said earlier, some placemaking activities, some day events. But some nightlife operators are also telling me that they're not very concerned about how the younger generation are consuming nightlife, because at the end of the day, they are still consuming alcohol. But one thing that they are requiring some sort of support is transportation. Just like always, transportation is always the number one support that they're looking for. For example, Zook mentioned to me that they have an outlet in Tokyo, Japan, where, their club is open until 5 in the morning. And yet people stay until closing time because they can hang out with their friends for supper after and take the first train home at 5:30 in the morning. So that's just one of the examples of support that nightlife operators are looking for.
Well, many thanks for that update. We've been speaking to...
I think that one thing that would just be helpful to us is maybe being a little bit quicker to try new things. If there's suggestions or something that they think could increase, like the nighttime economy or the vibrancy in the area, I think if we could do things a little bit faster, I think that would definitely be helpful. And, we're committed to making it work and accomplishing the same goals. So, yeah, maybe just the speed of implementation with some of the things.
So, Paul, besides transportation support and, quicker implementation, nightlife operators are also asking if there can be some sort of support when it comes to increasing the foreign worker quota so that they can get enough manpower to sustain them through the wee hours of the morning. Back to you, Paul.
Many thanks for that update. We've been speaking to Nadirah Zaidi.